And one of the things that really intrigues me is your relationship with Mr. Robert Smith. So if you can share and elaborate with that, how that come together, do you know him from long ago?
So Robert,
another crazy story.
Another insane story, man. 14 years, 13, maybe 13 years ago now. It might be longer than that. I'm trying to start my first film. We're rubbing two sticks together. It's the movie Roxanne was just discussing, and we have no idea what we're doing. And all I know is that we're making a movie. We're actually making a movie. And my brother at the time I had just finished playing basketball. My brother was in the NFL, but he was barely in the NFL. so we were kind of like making this film and going about it. And at the time we were running out of money, and I wasn't going to be able to finish this movie. And it was going to be the same story that everyone else always tells, right? Like, I was making a movie and I ran out of money. Right. But that's what happens when you're an independent filmmaker. You're supposed to run out of money, right? So I'm like, I need another week. I need another 2 weeks. And this lady was like, Deon, she had came on set and she was blown away. She was a publicist for my brother. And she was like, I know this guy and he has a lot of money and you should know him because you're so funny and he's like the coolest guy. You guys would really like each other. And I'm like, oh, where's he at? Because he got some money, right? And she's like, yeah. And I said, can he come down here tomorrow? Because we need the money. Because we need some money. And she was like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, but you should just know. She was like, you should just know him. So I was like, all right, cool. Anyways, I was like, maybe have him come by the set. It'd be nice to meet him. We're making a movie. She was like, I'm gonna tell him you guys doing this little movie thing. It'll be cool. So she calls me back 2 days later. She says, hey, he's actually going to Europe for the rest of the month. And at the time, Robert is in San Francisco. We're in Sacramento. So we're, an hour right away. So she's like, he's not going to be back for a month. So I'm going to keep on him. But in a month, I'll get him and you guys will meet or whatever. And I'm like, damn, okay, cool. So we keep shooting the movie. 4 days later, she calls me on the phone. She's like, you're never going to believe this. Robert's trip to Europe got canceled. And he wants to come visit your movie set.
Wow.
Now, oh, by the way, this is not Robert Smith today. This is like grinding. He's worth $100 million, Robert. Okay, like, all right, this is
like that's not enough.
That's not right.
Listen, no, 100 million, billion.
Listen, there's a difference.
There is.
There's $100 million. There's a difference between 100 and a billion. So
I look forward to knowing what that is.
Me too, man. One day. So I'm like, oh, he's gonna come. So she's like, he's gonna come down the set. So I'm like, all right, cool. So boom, this Friday happens, and I'm waiting for him. So now I know he's a very high caliber guy. Roxanne, everybody on set has been alerted that there's a gentleman that's gonna come here. We're just meeting him, but potentially he might be an investor to help us finish this film.
He put a suit on and everything.
So I got a suit. I'm directing with a tuxedo and a cummerbund on. I'm waiting for him to come, right? I got it. I'm like, cut, goddamn cover with a bow tie on. So finally, like the guy, one of the PA comes and he says, hey, Deon, a Ferrari just pulled up in the back. And I'm like, that's the dude. So I'm like, everybody hold on a minute. I'm leaving. I'm gonna go greet this guy who just pulled up to this set that we're on. I walk out there, the car's out there. I'm like, damn, that's a cold car right there, man. I'm looking around, don't see him at all. I asked the little white kid that's working there with me, I said, hey, did you see where the man went? He was like, no, I didn't see him. I'm gonna go look. So he went around the corner and went and walked away. So I'm standing there in the lobby looking around at this set we're on, and this black guy comes up and he's dressed up, and I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, he might be with Robert.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I'm like, hey, brother, how you doing? He's like, I'm doing good, man. How are you? And I'm like, hey, did you see who got out that car? So he looks around and he's looking at me and I'm looking at him. I'm like, yeah, did you see the man got out the car? He's like, I'm the guy that got out the car. So I'm like looking at him now and I'm shocked because she never told me Robert was black.
Oh, I see.
So I'm thinking I'm looking for a white man. You know what I mean? So we laugh. Anyways, long story short, man, he says to me 3 hours into a meeting, he says, what do you want to do and what do you want to be in 5 years? And I know that's the most cliche question in the world. I tell people this story all the time. It was the first time I had to really give a real answer, right? And I was like, I got to think about it. And I said, he said, what makes you different than everybody else doing film? And I was like, well, here's the thing that's going to make me different. First of all, I'm a black dude doing a horror movie. Secondly, I want to jump genres. And this is crazy, man, because we're having this conversation now with press and media. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, I want to make movies like Steven Spielberg. I want to be able to make Jaws and The Color Purple. And I don't know any black filmmakers that jump genres. If you think of Spike, you think of this. You think of Tyler, you think of this. You think of Antoine Fuqua, you think of this. But I want to be able to do all of the different genres. And he was like, that's fascinating. Next thing I know, man, Robert Smith calls me to San Francisco. I go down there. He asks me, how much money do I need to finish the film? He gets on a whiteboard because he's a master at a whiteboard.
Mhm.
He does whatever on the whiteboard. I said, I need $100,000. He was like, you don't need $100,000. I said, I do, sir. Please, that's all I need. He was like, what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? What happens? And I'm like, damn, boy, ain't none of that gonna happen. He's like, you don't never know. And we get to like $500,000 that I need. Robert gave us the money, man, and kicked off our career, kicked us off,
Right.
started us. And what was crazy was we lost our ass in that film. We lost everything.
Mm.
But we were learning the business. What came out of that movie was he watched the film and he said, you got part one down. You know how to make a really good movie.
Mm.
Now you got to go figure out how do you get that movie to become profitable. And that took us on a journey. And every movie since then, we have returned residual income every time. And he was right. We got the first part down. We knew how to make the product. Then we had to learn the business side of it. And obviously, me and Robert have become the best of friends. We have so many businesses and things together, and we handle philanthropy for him. Robert is our partner in Hidden Empire. He's also our partner in Be Woke Vote, which is our philanthropy arm, which this year, myself, Roxanne, registered close to 800,000 people to vote. And he's just an all-around, look, anytime you got a guy that's skyrocketing into the moon like that,
That's right.
and you're able to call him on the phone and say, hey, I got a thought. Can you help me understand why this might be that? It doesn't matter what line of business you're in, because it's the same things that are happening. It's just a different language. You know what I mean? So Robert was one of the first people to say, man, look, you're building now. You guys are building. Now you're creating a library. Now you're creating a company. Why would you want to go work for somebody, have them give you a fee when you can make a whole film for the fee they're gonna give you?
That's right.
Right? And that's kind of kept me and Roxanne going that way. And while we're at the place we are right now, he's been an absolute blessing, man. And for those that don't know Robert, it's hard to sum him up, man. I call him Legend. I gave him a nickname, Legend, 7 years ago, and everybody I know calls him Legend now. But he
Even his son is named
his
Legend.
son's name Legend.
Is that right? Is that his son's name, really?
Yeah, he is he's a unicorn, man. Those types, people think that, it's easy to go make something and sell it and make $1 billion. Like you can make some type of thing that sits in the front windshield and somebody can buy it, or an app. This is a guy that has revolutionized business and the ability to actually create something and sell it for multiples on top of multiples, and do it not once, but thousands of times every year. You know what I mean? So he is a genius, but he's also the most down-to-earth, humblest person you could know. I told this guy the other day that if you want to sum Robert up and you want to understand who he is, let me explain this to you. He's the only African-American billionaire to ever sign the Pledge Act, meaning that when he dies, all that money goes away to philanthropy.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wow.
That's great. That's phenomenal.
That's when you got.
Nice
That's
sign
when you.
for the audience when they see
that-
this. That's awesome.
That's when you know you got a special person.
Absolutely. Yeah, his mom
Yes.
is lovely. Yeah, that's great.
She's awesome. She was a school teacher, and
I know.
Yeah.
you know, and just a brilliant woman as well. So you understand
Yes.
where he got
Where
it
it
from.
comes from.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
beautiful.
Yeah, you see it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. That's a phenomenal story, brother. Thank you for sharing it with us.